Hi, everybody. Welcome to another ALK Talk. I just want to introduce myself. My name is Mark Rosenzweig. I'm one of the co-founders of the ALK Talk and Healing Arts programs, and I'm in my 11th year of having a great time with this cancer journey, and I really do mean that. So I'm going to pass it right off to Summer, and Summer will do all the polling questions.
Mark, we are so glad to have you back. Thank you so much. Well rested from your cruise. We're all very envious. Thank you all for joining us this evening on this special Lung Cancer Awareness Month kickoff. We're getting ready early this year. It starts in November, but we are excited to brief you on where your fundraising took us in the past year. We are so grateful for all of your efforts and are excited to get into it this year. My name is Summer Farman, Mark's sidekick, diagnosed stage 4 ALK positive cancer in 2020. So thank you for joining us. Let's look at some polling questions. First question. Did you participate in or lead a fundraiser in 2023? So for ALK positive or for research, and some of you are probably were not even diagnosed then. So this may not pertain to you, but yes or no, we just want to get a feel for who's here. Thank you so much. I'm going to end the poll, share the results. Okay, about half and half. 43% of you did lead a fundraiser. Thank you so much. And 57 did not. 57%. Okay. Do you prefer in-person or online fundraising events? So in-person could be an auction, a car wash, a marathon, a 5K. Online could be a Facebook fundraiser, or on Instagram, it could be just sharing a link. It could also be setting up a fundraising platform or page. It could be an email campaign. Thanks, Mark. Okay, 11% of you prefer in person. 54% of you prefer online, 27% of you like both, and 8% say neither. Thank you so much. Okay, do you plan to participate in or lead an ALK positive fundraiser in 2024? Think of all those people that say, what can I do for you? What do you need? I need research. More research, more life. Okay, thank you. And 78% of you say yes, you plan to participate, and 23% of you say not so much, that is not for me. What best describes you? We got feedback. Somebody said, wait, there's 2 of us here, so we did change this around. Are you living with lung cancer? Are you a care partner, a family member? Are you a patient and a PALKI, or a patient and a care partner? That is a summit reference, the PALKI. Or are you here from industry, or you have another connection to lung cancer? And we have 73% of you are living with lung cancer. 3% of you are a care partner or family member. 23% of you are a patient, or a duo here maybe tonight, a patient and a PALKI or a care partner, and 3% of you are from industry or have another connection to lung cancer. Thank you so much. What type of treatment are you receiving? Let's see here. You have a variety of choices: chemo and a TKI, alectinib, brigatinib, lorlatinib, chemo, clinical trial. Thank you. Okay, 7% of you are on chemo and a TKI, 52% of you are on alectinib, 7% are on brigatinib, 20% of you are on lorlatinib, no one is straight chemo, and 5% of you are on a clinical trial. Okay, Mark, that is good. Thank you so much for your assistance. And I am going to hand it off to ALK Positive's Director of Research and Clinical Affairs, Dr. Ken Culver. Thanks so much, Ken.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Isn't Suzanne before me?
No, it's you first.
Wow, I feel
You-
extra special tonight. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, let's get the. Well, it's my pleasure, ALK community, Ken Culver here. I just passed my 2-year mark working for ALK Positive, and I'm feeling really privileged to be in this role and serving on the staff to create new opportunities and lead to a cure for ALK-positive lung cancer. So tonight I have about a 20-minute presentation, and there's going to be some new stuff in here that you've never seen before that I think will really highlight the importance of this lung cancer awareness month and our fundraising associated with that, of course, year round. First, we have an expansion of our medical committee leadership. Second, a little bit about what we've been doing. And lastly, how we're really trying to expand opportunities in diagnosis, biomarkers, and therapeutics for ALK-positive lung cancer. We're fortunate within these last few weeks to have Sadia Yaakov join us. I'm not sure she's able to make it tonight, but she has a Doctor of Health Sciences degree, and she's going to really help us expand. And you'll see as I go through my presentation why we really needed an additional person who has a lot of experience in clinical trials in particular that's going to bring a lot of value to the whole ALK community. So welcome, Sadia. Second point, what have we been up to? Well, so far this year, so in the first roughly 10 months of the year, our medical committees have met with 82 different companies and organizations. And about half of those are still ongoing in some type of collaborative manner or another. Biotech companies 27, pharma 17, universities 23, major big practices and health systems 4, and then others, nonprofits, people that supply tissue for analysis 11. So we've been really, really busy, averaging about 8 different companies a month, telling them why they should be investing in the care, the diagnosis, and the care of patients with ALK-positive cancer. Well, what has been the consequence of that? Well, we've seen that through these interactions, the grants that we've funded are progressing nicely along with our university partners. The data about ALK-positive cancer is being generated, it's being collected, and it's being disseminated to everyone. Nobody is immune from hearing about why we need more people working on research in ALK-positive cancer. As a consequence of that, we have a number of new trials that are in the design stage that hopefully in 2025 are going to be now new opportunities for lung cancer patients, whether you're in first line, second line, or later line. I'm going to talk more about that. So as it says here in the highlight, we've been working to bring ALK research to the global lung cancer community. And one of the ways that we did that is this year, members of our ALK medical committees were co-authors on 6 different abstracts at the World Conference on Lung Cancer. And having been there with Mark and with others there were about 6 of us from ALK Positive who were there to really see the interest and the opportunity for us to talk about why ALK Positive lung cancer is important and why they should be working on it, what kind of collaboration opportunities they was really special and is an ongoing activity. So the rest of my presentation, I want to go through 3 different pieces. First, I want to talk a little bit about comprehensive biomarker testing. There was a nice update at the World Conference on Lung Cancer. 2, I want to talk about what kind of trials should we be doing in first line? Just because you're stable on a TKI in first line doesn't mean you're done. There are things that need to be invested in. And then 3rd, we want to talk about what about this at recurrence in second line? What do we need to be doing? All of this, as it says in red, requires something from us. We need advocacy for this testing, and we need trials to define what to do and what's optimal for ALK patients in the second two portions. I'm going to show you some exciting stuff, so don't fall asleep. Biomarker testing. There, I'm showing you two slides. If you look, you can hopefully see my green cursor. The group with ISLAC, the International for Study of Lung Cancer, did a poll. And what they found, if you look in the green box at the bottom, is that, and you look over here on the right, that comprehensive or biomarker testing is reported to being done in 63% of late-stage patients. So 37% of potential ALK patients are not even being tested. And in early stage, 29%. Now we're talking 71% of ALK patients in early stage are never being diagnosed. This is a global survey across 90 countries. And as you see here on the left, that's an improvement. So that's great, but there's still a big gap. But let's take it a step further. So when you take a look at who's getting tested and you look at the green box at the top, you'll see that 65% of people in high and upper middle countries are getting tested. So in the United States, Western Europe, 35% of people diagnosed with lung cancer who should know they're ALK positive are not getting that opportunity. And when you go to low and lower middle countries, it's abysmal. This to me is a failure of the whole health system, the whole oncology community. It shouldn't be this way. But I got a really personal example I want to share with you. And this picture is for Kirk Smith. Now, Kirk, I didn't have a chance to get my pants all that dirty yet, but you can see I am wearing my ALK t-shirt from the summit in Nashville. I'm in the middle of a slum in Nairobi called Mathare. It's just on the north side of Nairobi, about 500,000 people living there. And we're building a junior high school. Now, many of you may know that I go there every year. This was my 16th or 17th year in a row. We've built all kinds of different things, and now we're working on a junior high school for the children there. And 3 of the days, and this is Rose, 3 of the days when we're there, we do medical care. And so it's a real privilege to be able to provide some care for people in the slum who basically have no access. And this is Rose, and we were smiling because it turns out we're the same age. And so we were laughing about having birthdays so close together. So this year, when asked if I could meet some of their thoracic oncology experts. So on one day, I took off time from the construction and I went to the Kenyatta University Teaching, Referral, and Research Hospital, which is sort of the cream of the crop institution in Nairobi where they're doing the cutting edge cancer research. So one of my key questions and one of the opportunity I had was to tell them about ALK positive lung cancer and to find out about ALK positive lung cancer in Kenya or in East Africa as a whole. So the first thing you find out is they don't have NGS in the country. They don't have NGS in the whole East Africa. So the question is, ALK positive lung cancer incidence in East Africa? Nobody knows. So what we look at that 19% and we say, well, it's not zero. Well, in some places it is. So comprehensive biomarker testing requires our advocacy. It's hard for me to believe there's an oncologist in the United States practicing today that doesn't know comprehensive biomarker testing should be done on every lung cancer patient, regardless of stage or histology. Yet 65%, only 65% are doing that. We, as a part of our awareness month, that still needs to be a key emphasis. Moving on now to the center section, treatment at MRD to eliminate persistent cells. Most people on this call and who I meet in this group fall into this category, that they're stable and doing really well on an ALK TKI. But we're not done. We know that there are persister cells, and I think this next slide will help illustrate that. This is the fantastic CROWN data that we all saw at ASCO in June, 5-year progression-free survival data in patients who received olatinib in the first line, and there's no TKI in any cancer that has data this good, with about 60% of patients out 5 years who have yet to have progression. It's absolutely fantastic and a huge step forward. And thank you to Pfizer. Thank you to all the companies that make TKIs for making this possible. But that doesn't tell us the whole story. What do the responses look like in these patients? Well, 76% of these patients had a response, right? 24% didn't. 3% had a complete response. 73% have a partial response. So almost every single one of these patients still has measurable tumor on their scan. At that stage, we're calling it the minimal residual disease, or as Roz Camage likes to say, the maximal response. So most people are in this stage. And that's why I say our work isn't done, because our goal is to get rid of all that remaining tumor. That is what was behind our funding as an organization, the Breakthrough Cancer Initiative. It's a 4-year commitment that we made, $500,000 per year, to really try to figure out a way to eradicate this minimal residual disease state. I'm really happy to report that Breakthrough Cancer has moved forward, that they've allocated projects and money. Our funding is soon to be there, if not already, because we want to expedite this as much as possible, because based on the numbers from Breakthrough Cancer, that's 97% of the people who are in our ALK community. Obviously, only those who are fortunate to get tested. Maybe when you see your oncologist, you'll thank him for testing you, because obviously that's not the case for everyone. But they're looking at the biology. They're looking at how do we create a tissue repository to ask meaningful questions? What kind of trials can we do specifically to understand how to eradicate this, whatever minimal disease is remaining? And how can we be innovative in understanding exactly what MRD is? So Breakthrough Cancer, to me, is one of the greatest achievements that we've done as an organization in my short 2-year tenure here, because it's something that's going to make a difference for hopefully a lot of people now and in the future. Now let's go to immunotherapy. You know, we, as an organization and as a cancer community, we talk about immunotherapies all the time. Sometimes we call them vaccines, and sometimes we call them bispecifics, and sometimes we call them PD-1 inhibitors, and sometimes we call them checkpoint inhibitors. But when you lump them all together, the whole purpose of immunotherapies is to build effective systemic responses, immune responses. Every patient needs that. I was at a conference, and thank you to the leadership of ALK Positive, and the vision they have is that I'm able to go to a lot of the lung cancer conferences. And you never know for sure when you're there what you're going to come away with. But this quote from Roy Herbst, who's the chief of medical oncology at Yale, really got my attention. And it was just part of his introduction to a session of presentations. But he said, IOs cure patients, TKIs do not. The future is personalized immunotherapy. So you're on a TKI and doing well. The next step is to add to that a personalized immunotherapy. We at ALK Positive in our medical committees are committed to accelerating that, because that is the key next step to get us to the cure. So to achieve a cure, an anti-tumor immune response is needed. But most of you know that the results so far have been disappointing. I took this out of the Mezisis article from 2019 because it sets up what I want to show you, some exciting things. And this is a summary of looking at a group of patients with ALK positive who were treated with one of the checkpoint inhibitors, a PD-1 or PD-L1 inhibitor. Nobody had a response. 31.6% had stable disease, and their progression-free survival was only 2.5 months. When you look at EGFR, there was really no difference. Yes, they had a 12% response rate, but they had just as many people progressing, and their PFS was no different. And when you look through here, yes, BRAF looks better and KRAS looks better, but the bottom line was that oncogenic-driven lung cancers are commonly excluded from the lung cancer immunotherapy trials. And I'm talking about ALK, EGFR, HER2, RET, and ROS. We're commonly excluded. So this really putting a limitation, and we've been really forcefully talking to companies. I told you we've spoken to 82 entities already this year, telling them this isn't right. Just because a person doesn't respond to one kind of immunotherapy doesn't mean they won't respond to others. But tonight I'm here to tell you that things are looking good, that they could be changing. When I was at the European lung cancer meeting a few weeks ago in Barcelona, I was sitting I went to a general session, and they were talking about EGFR. And they showed this data from a drug called PM8002, which is a Chinese company who was making this drug, but then they licensed it to BioNTech. So BNT, whenever you see a drug with BNT, you know it's from BioNTech. So BioNTech 327, combination with chemotherapy in patients with EGFR mutated lung cancer. So what is this PM8002? It's an investigational bispecific antibody, and there's this beautiful little characterization here on the right, where it's an antibody that has two parts to it. One part binds VEGF-A, which is a factor that promotes blood vessel growth, because tumors can't grow unless they grow more blood vessels. And it also targets PD-L1, which we know is a potent immunosuppressive part of the tumor. So this is an antibody that is infused IV, that it goes into the tumor and is trying to block immunosuppression and is trying to block the blood vessel growth. Now, VEGF alpha also is immunosuppressive, creates an immunosuppressive environment. It's on its own. So that's the idea of this antibody. Now, I wouldn't be telling you about it if there wasn't something exciting. So here were the results. Remember, I told you that 12% of the EGFR patients respond to a PD-1 inhibitor alone. Here, everybody together, the response rate was 60.9%. And when you looked at how much PD-L1 is on the surface, it was in the high expression group, there was a 92% response rate. 92 in EGFR after failing first-line osimertinib. I was saying to myself as I walked out of the lecture hall, why isn't everybody talking about this? This is a big deal. There's a lot of things that are similar in the tumor microenvironment about EGFR and ALK and RET and ROS. And this is something that should be studied in ALK positive. Now, the follow-up time for this cohort of patients, this trial was done in China, was 7.7 months, with most patients still on. So clearly, the progression-free survival is going to definitely be longer than just PD-L1 inhibitors on their own. So what do we do with this information? Well, that's why you have medical committees, and that's why you have a medical staff like Saudi and myself. So the question I asked is, you wouldn't be surprised, but as soon as the session was over, I went immediately to the BioNTech booth in the hall and spoke to the medical person and said, do you have any data in ALK? They said no. I said, are you planning a trial in ALK? I'll check. The answer was no. So what do you do next? Then you contact all companies that are developing a similar drug. So when I did that, I found out that there were 3 companies that were developing a very similar bispecific. One of them, called Summit Therapeutics, I wrote their VP of development, who I've known for many years, he said they'd be glad with our financial support. And we have an investigator willing to lead the trial and patients willing to participate, they would provide the drug. I have a meeting scheduled this week with a PI to discuss exactly how we can get this trial going for ALK patients. So there are 3 parts there, right? 1, we have to have an investigator. 2, we have to have money. And 3, we have to have patients. So that brings us to the last part, and a couple of words about working to create new therapies. As you know, as these tumors evolve over time, the ALK as a driver becomes less and less important. And so to keep focusing on ALK forever and ever is not certainly is not the way to go. Not that it isn't important, but we need to consider that there are going to be other bypass pathways. And again, we need clinical trials to help us figure that out. So we as a medical community, we've been prioritizing 3 things I want to talk about tonight. 1 is supporting new ALK inhibitor development. 2, pursuing opportunities for non-ALK specific therapies. And 3, finding new targets on the surface so we can get other new drug targets. And just an update, most people know that we invested in a grant with the University of Michigan a couple of years ago. It's being led by Angel Chin, and she's doing a really great job. They have the site open in Michigan. They've enrolled 2 patients. The 3rd one should be going on any time now. Through our grant mechanism, they have sufficient funding to enroll all the patients at Michigan. But not everybody can travel to Michigan. So they're submitting a grant to the NIH, hoping that they can get enough money to expand to 2 or 3 more sites. And I'm using this as an example to help you understand as we approach LCAM and the awareness and the fundraising sort of kickoff for that event, is that if we want to know the answer to this trial or any of the others that we're going to be fortunate enough to start, we have to make an investment. And what does that investment look like? Because, and I want to spend my last few minutes on this point, that if we want to get an answer quicker on gilteritinib, or we want to find out about that bispecific, and can we get a 92% response rate in the high PD-L1 group with ALK patients, then we're going to have to invest. And with our financial support, they could open 2 or 3 more sites. So instead of just having Michigan, you could also have a West Coast site, you could have an East Coast site, you could have a site in the South. It would take about 9 to 12 months to get those sites open, but it would substantially decrease the amount of time to find out, is gilteritinib really going to be a good option for patients after they progress on other therapies, say lorlatinib, new NVL-655 or whatever. So what does that cost? Well, it's about $25,000 per patient to cover all the clinic, not the cost of the drug, everything but the cost of the drug. So if you're saying, well, we want to enroll 20 more patients, then you can imagine it's about a $500,000 commitment. Most all the trials I'm talking about are going to be at least that, just to give you an idea over several years, not all at once. So funding is needed to expedite clinical trials from diagnosis to late stages of care. So what's this look like? We need data to persuade companies to incorporate ALK into their trial portfolio. It amazes me, frankly, that companies will invest millions and millions in EGFR and not ALK. I don't get it. And we're trying to push that. 2, we need funds to pay their per patient costs. Drug costs are usually provided by the company. I would say we probably have right now between 5 and 10 companies who've said, we will give you the drug to do a trial in ALK patients if ALK can pay for the per patient costs. And so bullet point 3, I've written out per patient costs range from maybe $10,000 to $50,000 per patient. But the new cell therapy trial for children with ALK positive neuroblastoma is $100,000 a patient. So those are way more expensive for lots of reasons. And then finally, for academic trials, drug manufacturing may also need to be funded. So working with commercial companies has the advantage that they will pay to make the drug and that they are poised to push that to the market, because once it gets to the market, it can get to the most outpatients. So we're really focusing primarily on working with companies because we think from a time point of view, that is the ideal. But in some cases, starting at the academic level, even though it takes longer and may be more expensive, is our only option to seeing the long-term view for how to benefit the outpatient community. So the LCAM fundraising is a critical, it's time-sensitive element in the movement of these potential new therapies to outpatients. So thank you to everyone who's working hard to create awareness and raise funding, and that you can hopefully, you can get some confidence out of this, that we as a medical committee are going to put those funds to good use and making sure that we're advancing clinical trials and new treatments for the opportunities for all the people in our ALK community. So thank you.
And thank you so much. That was amazing. I always like to say that the medical committees are like working while we're sleeping, right? That they're hard at work. And when I get to be a fly on the wall in the medical committee meetings, it's just amazing to hear what is going on behind the scenes. And they are also consulting with ALK experts too, to say like, what do you think of these ideas or where we're going? And like the advisory dinner we had in ASCO, and we hope to continue to do things like that. So thank you so much, Ken. Does anybody, I don't know if we want to take any questions now. You guys were great. Our ALK Positive community members jumping right in and answering like a little glossary for Ken as we went. So that was fabulous.
I do see one question though. Which clinical trial phase are you referring to? Okay.
All. Mark, you were asking which clinical trial phase?
Yeah, one of the questions was which clinical trial phase are you referring to?
Every single one is relevant to what we're doing. Because the phasing, it gets misleading because the gilteritinib trial is a phase 1 trial, but it's an already approved FDA drug, all being used at the FDA approved dose. It's only called phase 1 because it's an ALK lung cancer and not leukemia. So those phases don't really help us much. And so it's really more of what are the places where we can move things forward the quickest with the data. And as Summer said, our advisors are all aligned. I've started now, the invitation, we're inviting external experts to join a scientific and formal external advisory board for ALK Positive, and the responses so far have been like, of course, I want to be a part of that. So, I didn't go over that tonight because I'm kind of waiting until everything is finalized before I lay it all out. But yes, Mark, so it's really, the phases aren't really helpful in most of these because we, ALK Positive, are rarely ever going to be the first patient group to get these treatments. I mean, Nuvalent, of course, if it's ALK targeted, then yes, but most things are not. And like right now, we're riding on the backs of EGFR because EGFR is common enough, they can do a trial. So in some ways we want to say, hey, we're like EGFR. And in other ways we want to say, hey, we're different and better.
And I think that your first point,
trials.
Your first point of your slides, I think, really drives home the biomarker testing because there's so many more ALK patients out there, different types of cancers, and we just don't know that. So you always say that we have a larger population than the doctors and pharma thinks that we have.
Yeah. And Mark, it was interesting. So this past week, Mark Muscovich and I were on a call with AACR, and they have a database. And in their database, they've got about 2,000 ALK positive lung cancer patients and 1,500 ALK positive colorectal cancer patients. I don't know how in the world they found that many. So that's going to take some more investigation, but there may actually be way more people out there with ALK than anybody ever realized. And I feel we have some obligation to raise awareness about that.
Very
point.
good. Okay, so one question we have here, and then we will pass it over to Suzanne. But how long is it likely to take before we find out whether gilteritinib has some efficacy with ALK?
Well, that's a really good question. Probably it'll take at least 12 patients. So if you figure she's putting on a patient every other month, it's going to take us more than a year to know, maybe 2 years. And so if you get 2 sites, you can probably cut that in half. But it takes a while because I know what how the first 2 patients have done on gilteritinib, but I took it out of my slide because that would be misleading. You can't make decisions on 2 patients. So if they both responded, great. If neither one of them responded, that's too bad. But that doesn't tell you about gilteritinib yet. So the other part that's sort of nuanced in here that I didn't say is that how fast you enroll the trials, of course, tells you how quickly you get an answer. But the more university medical centers that open the trial, the much more expensive the trial becomes. And for a cancer with the frequency that ALK positive has, where we're not rare, but we're not common, we're going to always need probably 3 to 10, depending on what group we're trying to find. So that's why if we plan to do a trial like a gilteritinib trial to get an answer, we need to plan for $500,000 to $750,000 per trial. And so that kind of gives us an idea. Well, if let's say next year our goal was to start 4 trials, 4 times $750,000, it doesn't, you don't have to be, you can easily calculate out we're going to need at least $3 million. Now, we won't spend that all in that year, but we can't make a commitment, right? Unless we know, the whole organization's behind it. So when Suzanne joined and she said to me, Ken, what is most important that you guys need money for in the medical committee? Well, there are a lot of things that we need to do. There are a lot of important questions that'll determine how quickly ALK positive lung cancer research moves forward. But the most important question of all is, does it work in patients? You can treat all the mice you want. You can do all the tissue culture you want. You can try to extrapolate, well, it did this in EGFR or it did that in ROS1. But until we have enough ALK patients who've been treated with a drug, we can't make a decision. And that's one of the key things we want to do as an organization is get an answer, not a maybe or a what if or if only we knew, because that doesn't move us forward.
Well, thank you so much, Ken. So grateful. And there may be, some more questions coming in that we can grab at the end. So let's talk to Suzanne, who joined us in August with a background in development from academia and industry. And we are already learning so much with her and are so grateful for this partnership and to have her on board. Suzanne, take it away, please.
Thank you so much, Summer, and everyone, particularly thank you all for being here. We really appreciate having you with us this evening. And I want to in particularly thank Ken and the medical committee. Without them and without their knowledge and forward-thinking approach, we would not be where we are today. So a lot of gratitude for the entire medical committee and all that they do. I have only been with ALK Positive for a couple of months now, but in my very short time, I've already received so much compliments by many of our partners about how thorough our medical committee are and how truly they are the true advocates for ALK patients at every table and in every room. I really feel such privilege to work with them. And such privilege to be with you this evening. Thank you so much for being with us this evening. This time of year, we launch our Lung Cancer Awareness Month. And this year, ALK Positive is probably launching one of its most robust and comprehensive LCAM campaigns. We are really, really excited. This is probably one of the most exciting times of the year for us. Because it's the time that we get to work with the medical committee and say, tell us, what have we done over the last year? And we get to hear these amazing advancements that give us so much hope and excitement for what the future is going to bring. So this year, this campaign is based on so much hope and so much potential and so much opportunities. And our campaign, we're just kind of launching it right now. And there are so many components to the Lung Cancer Awareness Month. Some of those components consist of us building a more robust and comprehensive case for support. So some of you might have received phone calls from us or letters from us. We are seeking feedback and input from our community members. That feedback and input is so critical to how we develop our campaign, not just this year, but in the future. So if you haven't heard from us or received a letter, you probably will. And if you're interested in giving us feedback, please reach out to me. My email and phone number will be shared towards the end of this presentation. I really look forward to hearing and connecting with all of you. In addition to the building the case for support component, in the coming year, spring 2025, we are going to conduct our first field research updates, and we're hoping to have 2 events, one on the West Coast and one on the East Coast. And some of our amazing community members and partners are going to be critical to helping us make this happen. So we are very excited. Look for an invite in your email at some point for an event near you this spring. And our entire Lung Cancer Awareness Month fundraising campaign cannot happen without your support. You are a critical force in this project and in this campaign. We appreciate your partnership with us and your support. And I want to share with you just a little bit about what you all have been able to do with us this past year. This past year alone, what we often reference to peer-to-peer fundraising, which is all the amazing events that you all do, whether online, Facebook, in person, email, whatever the case might be. This effort that you all do as our ambassadors in the field have raised for us $300,000 last year. This is almost what we need to, as Ken mentioned, to advance a clinical trial. These numbers are amazing. Every little dollar counts. You all have held 44 events last year and engaged with over 1,000 people. These are absolutely amazing numbers. We can't do this without you. Last year, you all have done fundraisers in 9 states, from Pennsylvania, Maryland to California and Washington. We are so grateful to you, and we absolutely cannot do this work without you. So thank you all. You all play a critical role, not just raising funds, but raising awareness. A big component is actually spreading the word in your community so people understand. I'm telling you, we've reached out to some oncologists or even medical professionals who are like, what's ALK again? So we really appreciate all of you partnering with us as ambassadors to really raise awareness about what we are trying to do and why. This year, if you are planning to do any fundraisers, whether it's online or in person, or Facebook, etc., please let us know. We can work with you a little bit to increase engagement. We can announce it. And if you're holding an in-person fundraiser or event or walk or marathon, whatever the case might be, if one of the board members or one of our staff are close to your area, they would love to join. We would love to help bring engagement to some of your events. So please let us know. We would love to partner with you and support you on your effort. This year, the highest performing peer-to-peer event, or online or in person or Facebook or etc., the best performing will be announced and acknowledged and recognized at the 2025 summit. This is so critically important. So we want to ensure that we recognize those that partner with us and help to truly build awareness and help support us with the funds that we need to push those clinical trials to the next step. This year, we are hoping to send in a token of gratitude, momentous, to all the volunteers who are going to help make the LCAM fundraisers a success. So we are so eager to do this work with you. We are so eager for what the next year is going to bring. There are so many projects that are at this cusp of kind of turning into advancing in a clinical trial or bringing a therapeutic to market. So we do need your support. We do need your partnership, because we can't do this without you. So we are so grateful to you and to your partnership with us. And now, if you want to know and see the details of how you can do that with us, we are going to transition to an amazing video from one of our board members and our social media gurus, Yvonne, and I'm going to give it away to Summer or Katie to help us watch the video by Yvonne. Thank you so much.
Yes, Katie, will you share that, please? And then Yvonne has some notes that I'll put in the chat.
Hi everyone, my name is Yvonne Diaz, and I am an ALK positive lung cancer patient diagnosed in August 2021. I'm on the board of ALK Positive Inc., and my professional background is in PR and communications and social media, and it's a pleasure to be supporting our Lung Cancer Awareness Month campaign again this year. So let's get started. So as you can see here, we're really excited about our new card approach. We're really grateful to a volunteer called Olivia, whose brother Evan, who you see on the card on the right, was diagnosed earlier this year. So we're once again using photos to showcase the human connection behind our condition, and also we're once again supporting research and really what it means to us. So you'll see here we're focused on these quotes specifically on what research means to you. So in terms of the social media cards and social media in general, it's really all here to support your personal fundraising. It's also going to support the fundraising for the whole of ALK Positive Inc. And those of you that give us permission, you will find your cards being used across all our social media channels, but also likely to be newsletters, perhaps our website or other locations. So we really need and appreciate your support. Another really important aspect is to create awareness during Lung Cancer Awareness Month. Many of us here, probably all of us here, really never expected to be diagnosed with this condition. So we're trying to create more awareness on what ALK positive is, who's likely to get it, and also the really important message around the need of more research, right? We're all so grateful that it's what's kept us alive so far, and we need more of it for everyone here. So our key message around this is, once again, more research and more life. Okay, so what do we need from you? We need that emotive shot of you living your best life with the people you love, doing the things you enjoy. You see the examples here in these cards. We're going to need that statement around why you believe we need more research. We always get some really creative replies, so I'm looking forward to seeing those again. The key thing, as usual, is that brevity is going to be key. We need around 10 words, and if you're struggling to put it into 10 words, the most important thing is just fill it in, fill the form in that we're going to cover in a second, and we can help you do that. So don't be shy, just think about what it means to you, and we can always help you get it down into the spacing and into that shorter statement if needed. We're going to be asking you for the other information you see here, your name as you want it to appear in the card, where you live. It's really important that we show that ALK positive lung cancer is a global condition. It can happen all around the world. And we'll ask you if you're happy to disclose your age or your stage of diagnosis, things like that. For the first time this year, we also have an anonymous option. This is for those people that may not be public, but still want to support the calls for more research. So you can still add a statement about why you feel we need to have more research. Okay, getting your cards could not be easier. We have a two-step process. Number one, you're going to fill in our form, Katie and Summer are going to be putting the link in the chat, and you're also going to be seeing it in our newsletters and with Jari and Rhonda and others' permission in the support groups. So please look out for those, fill in the form, all self-explanatory, and then you're going to email your photos to networking@alkpositive.org. Okay, once you get your card, it's all about how do you get started. So really, the big recommendation we make is to create a month-long campaign. So start on or around the 1st of November, and you basically want to start at the beginning. What is the reason why, right? So you may not be sharing about your condition or about lung cancer generally all the time. If you are, that's also fine, but still reminding people what is your story, why you care about research is going to be really key. You can obviously share the fundraising links that Katie's going to be talking to you about how to set up your own, or the general ones that we have to create that fundraising. You want to think about which network or networks make sense for you. So Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn are all fantastic options. It's really about where you have those personal connections. You might want to use all three of them. So really, whichever one works for you. It's also worth reminding that email, text messages are also great options. Perhaps you don't want to email everyone or notify everyone on Facebook or on LinkedIn. So you can be selective about which networks you're happy to be open with and which ones you just want to just email people directly. Posting regularly in terms of what to do that after you post your first story, you might just want to share some of the stories we have on ALK Positive. So be sure to be following ALK Positive across all the social media networks, and you can just simply reshare one of those stories. Perhaps you know the individual, and you can just remind people of the need for more research. People may not donate the first time they see your post. Sometimes people forget, they put it aside, and that second reminder or regular reminder is going to help them. So think about what you share, how often you share, whatever you're comfortable with. Another piece of advice here is to tag our account. And what I mean by that is if you start using the @ symbol when you're typing up your post and you find our account name, that'll notify us of your post where the platforms allow that. This allows us to like, share, and comment on your post where that's possible. And another 2 things is really to use the more research, more life hashtag. And another thing we'd say there is to please capitalize the first letter of every word. It just helps make it a bit more visible rather than a jumble. And the LCAM hashtag, LCAM, and that's the one that's used by everyone supporting Lung Cancer Awareness Month. It's really great to be a part of that collective voice, all coming together around lung cancer awareness and lung cancer support and research. So it's really great to be a part of both things. I would also ask that if you're not already following our accounts, please do so. Please like, share, and comment on our posts. That helps our posts get more visibility. The way the platforms work, that kind of engagement elevates you in these algorithms, and you get seen, and it just creates more awareness. And then I would ask the same of your family, friends, and coworkers to follow our accounts and to like and share. This is a moment of really creating more awareness around ALK positive lung cancer. So my closing message really is, please request your card today. It's never too early to start. Frankly, we love to start the month with a bunch of cards already prepared. So we also want to thank everyone who got involved in this little preview. And so we have a bunch of cards already kind of in the bag, and it's really an opportunity to please join in. If you have questions, there's 2 emails here that either take your social media questions or fundraising questions. If they're about both, don't worry about it. Email both emails or one. We'll get them to each other. So thank you so much for your support. It's really down to you that this campaign always touches everyone so deeply. Your support means so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Yvonne, who is in Europe, obviously in London, so she recorded for us. Katie, how about you? Thank you for sharing that.
I want to say thank you for all of your support, especially Yvonne, who still got to join us through this recording, and for all of your commitment and help with the Lung Cancer Awareness Month campaign. This is my second year joining in to help support our fundraising efforts, and I am honored to be here with all of you. I also want to thank all of those who have already filled out the form and sent us their photos to networking@alkpositive.org to help us create captivating messages to help raise funds, but more importantly, awareness about ALK-positive lung cancer. Like everyone has said, we couldn't do this without you, and it's all of you and your stories that keep our mission alive. By sharing what research means to you, the world gets to hear what investing in ALK-positive truly means. For Amanda here, it means keeping her alive so she can watch her boys grow. By creating your own personalized page, you can share your story, update those following you along your path, and enable them to support you in an impactful way. Getting started, you have two options of creating an individual page or start a fundraising team page. On these pages, you can track live donations with a raising thermometer as donations flow in. You can also have direct messaging up to 250 of your personal email contacts directly from your page to ask for support or share updates with. This page is truly personalized and custom to you and your story. So whether you are sharing your personal story, hosting an event, or honoring a loved one, we have many different options for you. Getting started, you'll head to our website, www.alkpositive.org. In the upper right-hand corner, you'll see a donate button. If you hover over that button, you'll see an option to fundraise with ALK Positive. Whether you've been fundraising with us before or you're signing up for the first time, this is a great access point to your fundraising dashboard. Once you're logged in, you will see and have access to this fundraising dashboard. I want to point out this tab right here, the resources. Here you'll find frequently asked questions, facts about ALK Positive, and a fundraising toolkit. There is another important button on here, and that is edit your page. If you have been fundraising with us but would like to participate in this campaign, you can easily edit your page and also adjust your fundraising goal to match. This is also where you'll find your fundraising email abilities, sharing on social media, and engage with all of your donors to thank for support. If you have any questions at all, Suzanne and I are more than happy and eager to help each and every one of you, whether it's learning more about partnering with ALK Positive to make a difference or support questions while creating your page. You can contact either of us directly by our email or by calling us on our numbers provided here.
Thank you so much, Katie. And I apologize. I just said, Katie, take it away. And really, she hasn't been on in about a year. So unless you were here last year, you wouldn't know, but I literally talk to Katie throughout the day, every day. So she is a dear friend to me. She was one of our first employees, and she is our philanthropy manager, working hand in hand with Suzanne to support her. But literally, she is a lifeline to me and to all of you in our community. So I could get choked up just talking about her right now. So yes, I totally took her for granted and didn't even give her the introduction that she deserves. So as you can see, she's very diligent and will be here to assist you with whatever you need to make a successful campaign. And from the patient perspective too, I want to add, think of those people, you know, you're moving along, you're cruising, people forget, even sometimes that you maybe have cancer, or if you're more newly diagnosed, everyone is saying to you, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And whether you're shouting it out loud and proud, or you're more subtle and just making your LCAM card your profile picture, and then in the comments, you want to put the link to a QGive account or link it back to ALK Positive. feel free to speak with Katie and Suzanne, or even some other people, Yvonne, myself. We would all be happy, to discuss too as patients how we move forward. Maybe at first it was more subtle. And then it depends on the year for me, okay? I'll be honest. Whether I do my own page or whether I just direct people right back. But the bottom line is that people want to know how to help you. And as Ken told us, it's research. More research equals more life, which is why we've stayed with that tried and true hashtag. So yeah, do you have any questions about our presentations tonight from either Suzanne or Katie, Yvonne, Ken? We're getting very excited as November is just around the corner, and our medical committees have a lot planned, as you can see, for us. And the fundraising philanthropy committees have been working along with social media and Suzanne and Katie to get things moving here and started for you to make this as easy as possible.
I see one of the questions here. It says from Ruby, is there a match this year? Did I miss that info? Yes, we believe, or yes, there is a match. We will make that announcement. Hang tight. We will share it with everyone soon. But yes, in fact, there are a few, and we're trying to kind of decide which way we want to go, but there's absolutely a match. And I wanted to add to what Summer said. So, you all are not just our partners, you are an ALK ambassador. We cannot be everywhere all the time. So you all in your respective communities raising awareness about what ALK is, where the need is. In other words, you all are ambassadors in your respective community, and we can't do this work without you. So we are very, very grateful to your partnership and support throughout the month, lung cancer awareness month, but beyond and throughout the year. And
Yeah.
there's another question that I see that has come up.
please.
Interesting, and it says, what motivates people who can give $20, etc.? Is that right? Or that motivates people?
The
I'm not
match.
sure whether,
The
okay, the
match.
match. Oh, okay. I thought that was another question.
Yes,
I just want to
Not
speak
to
from
worry.
an
Sounds good.
old-timers perspective of going back every year to this same group of friends and reframing that dialogue with them. And, I think that you have to think from, it's not just the newcomers. We really need to reach back and reframe, the advances that we've had in this community. I mean, in 2013, there was one drug, and the research has brought people like myself, Kirk, and others here. And I think that's important that those who are on the call or those who might watch the recording, that we are benefiting from all these drugs and we are benefiting from the research. I remember in 2016 was the start of the Facebook group. So, and it spun in whatever year it was, and ALK Positive Corporate got spun, and Ken introduced that. He's been here for 2 years. So we have everything in place to make a difference. And this is the time to jump as quickly as you can, because it's you, it's your health, it's your life. And if you can't go ahead and speak that to your friends and family, then you have a problem, because it's us, who are benefiting. And it's guys like Ken, Mark Boscovich, and others, and the board, etc., who are making it happen. And we are making it happen, and we're making a difference. We're at the table with these companies designing trials. I mean, if you would have told me that 7 years ago or 8 years ago, I'd be like, you're crazy. So we've made a difference, and we really, really need to dig deep this year. And I think that we're on the cusp of really having some big things happen, and we need to have the extra push to make it happen. So
Mark, that was perfect.
I'm done with my rant.
I love your soapbox, because that really is true. And as Ken said too, those TKIs are only going to take us so far, right? They only work for so long. Are the cancer changes, and we want to go for that cure, or we want to take it to the next step. And so, yes, we do need research for that. Exactly. So yes, 3 weeks from tonight, Nuvalent will be back with us again. It has been about a year since they've been here, so we are so excited to welcome them back. And then we also, again, we'll be giving reminders too about how to get your cards. And we'll be really ready to kick off LCAM right at that point because November will be just days away. Also, thank you so much for the great response for our patient preference studies. I got so many emails last week from people who want their voices to be heard. So I'm going to give that little push again. My email is summer.farman@alkpositive.org. Katie's going to put that in the chat for me. We have 3 different patient preference studies going on right now. One new one is for our European community. So the next 2 are only within the US. This one is for our European community. It is a volunteer basis, but they want to have, one of our industry partners would like to have a 90-minute virtual discussion with you about the challenges that you face on your TKI. And I believe they are looking for patients on lorlatinib and English speaking. So European community on lorlatinib and English speaking. Suzanne, anything else am I missing with that?
No, most important is that it's European Union, or in other words, our
Yeah.
friends in Europe and our lorlatinib, correct?
Yes. So please email us and I will get you to where you need to be to participate in that study. And then we have another one where we will be looking at first-line patients. We're looking for people on alectinib, brigatinib, and lorlatinib first line. Many of you I've already talked to. But please reach out to me. Those spots are not full yet. So that is the second one. And they're looking for preferences with TKIs, scans, all sorts of things. And then finally, we have another one open to patients and care partners, PALKIes in the United States, diagnosed 2018 or after. So about 5 years. And it doesn't matter your TKI. That's the time frame and in the US. So please contact us. Again, this is another way, right? In the spirit of LCAM, ways to make a difference. So we would love to hear from you for that. So thank you all for joining us. Are there any other chat questions? Mark, do you see anything there? I think we are all caught up, but you do know how to get a hold of us. And yes, thank you all for joining us. And
One last question though.
yeah, go right
Our
ahead.
friends in Canada, you may participate.
You know what? Email me. I do not think so. And I do every time meet with them, bring that up. So thank you. I will again reiterate that we do have you asking. So thank you so much. Definitely you can still email me and I will confirm. But I believe that it is strictly the 2 of them are the United States and the other the EU. So, but it doesn't hurt to keep, because we need all voices, right? I don't work on the regulations though. So, but I will speak up for you. So thank you again all so much for joining us this evening. If you want to unmute and give a little shout out, go ahead. But it was great to see you all here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.